but there's a lot of people here in the background. I would like to add that we are recording the meeting, so Sarah can do her best to produce some sort of minutes for us afterwards. This is the overall agenda. I'm anxious for people to feel able to contribute, ask questions in the chat, or put your hand up as we go along. We have got space for a round of updates from attendees after a few items. We will have a quick break to give you a chance to step away from the screen for a moment, and if you're anything like me, open your shoulders. We've got Peter Anderson and Toby McBride and Alex Clark from Alex who will be speaking to us as well. So I hope that sounds like a suitable plan for us all, and if it does, we'll move on straight away to have a think about SIM EPR. And I'm delighted that Paul is here to comment on that. So this SIM EPR is a electronic patient record platform. It's web-based, and we are in process of a one-year project to evaluate SIM EPR. We have centres across the region: Surrey and Sussex, Surrey, Portsmouth University, Frimley, Medway and East Sussex, and Sarah and I will be collecting and analysing data from that. But pleased to see you, Paul. Hope you're well. Do you want to add some comments about SIM EPR, and then we'll open that up for discussion?
Yeah, sure. I've got a little presentation. Okay. Am I not allowed to present? Will it let me present or not?
If it won't, we'll make you a presenter, mate.
Yes, I think that will. I'm not sure if my transitions will work though, because they didn't seem to work last time. Right. Okay. So this isn't a kind of formal update. It's more just kind of explaining some kind of like experiences that we've had at Frimley and what it's all about for anyone that doesn't know about the project at the moment. Effectively, it's not. So we use Epic as our electronic patient record system. In previous trusts, I have been involved with training staff on Cerner Millennium and on BT Rio, so I kind of know my electronic patient records. But obviously in SIM, we've been using paper for the past 10 years. So we've had paper drug charts, paper news sheets, paper CAS cards, laminated chest x-rays, and so on, like most SIM centres have. But that's not the reality of what people are doing now. And this really struck home to me earlier this year when we had a medical student go into SIM, look at the drug chart and go, I've never seen one of those before. They're not using drug charts anymore. And in fact, on the previous call, for those who were on it, to do with at the end of the previous call, which was the Chris Gay's talk about ASPE coming up, one of the staff on there talked to me afterwards, and they were saying that they had nurses with the same situation. They get something like one lesson on how to use paper records for contingency, but other than that, they're taught everything online. So we have to try and replicate that in our SIM scenarios. So here's a couple of photographs of it in our trust. You can see I've got a little computer there, a little touchscreen computer, which you can click on, and you can't see the rest of that, so don't worry too much about that. So how do we set it up at Frimley? So obviously we're part of the project, as Andy's pointed out. So the first thing we need is you need hardware for it. So you need something in your scenario room. So whether that's a laptop or a computer, touchscreen like I've got, or technically a tablet. And it's got to have internet access because this is all cloud-based, this SimEPR product that I'm talking about today. You then also need another cloud-based connectivity device in your control room for your facilitators. So in our case, we've got a touchscreen computer in the scenario room. We have a very cheap Android tablet in the control room because actually facilitators don't need very much. So that's the hardware. That is all the hardware that you need to run it, nothing else. As part of the project, our main aim was to get this running for the foundation doctors. Okay, so it was 4 FY doctors in this case. I'll come back to that in a second. We divided up the tasks. So as a sim tech, me and my sim tech had to do a lot of the admin. We had to copy and paste some of our scenarios into SimEPR, and then the educational fellows then had to add the final touches and the clinical touches. And effectively, it kind of boiled down to us putting on the basic details. But then when it came to the patient history, when it came to populating the clinical observations of the history and the last ABG and VBG and those kind of things, we had to leave that to the fellows to do. Because it's for foundation doctors, we decided to have these scenarios here. So we divided them up into block A and block B. So all of our foundation doctors will do one scenario in block. They'll take part in 4 scenarios, or they'll watch 4 scenarios in block A and 4 in block B. So basically, our objective for this project was to make sure we had all of those scenarios on SimEPR that we could use. So now just a quick set of random comments that I've come up off the top of my head. The biggest challenge, creating coherent patient history. If you've got a patient coming in who's just come into A&E, it's quite easy to put on SimEPR. If you've got a patient that's been in for a week or 2 weeks, actually, it's a heck of a lot of work to create that background for that patient. And you've got to make it actually coherent and actually work. And then it gets even more complicated if you want to make this scenario multidisciplinary, rather than just for the doctors. So we've got a lot of scenarios at the moment because our main objective was getting it ready for the foundation doctors that are great in terms of having everything that foundation doctors need, but there's no nursing notes on there. There's no proper ward round notes on there. There's just the basic details that we need for the foundation doctors. So it's not very realistic. We've come across an interesting dynamic. If you put 2 candidates in now, and again, mostly I'm talking about foundation doctors, what tends to happen is you tend to have one candidate, and I'll show you a photo in a second, who's looking up the history and lab results, right, and ordering things. And you've got the second candidate dealing with the patient. So they kind of divide up that way. I think realistically, that pretty much matches in the past what would happen, that one candidate would be flicking through the folder with all the paperwork in, and the second candidate would be assessing the patient. The candidates so far have found it very easy to use. I call it Mickey Mouse Epic because obviously Epic's our main system. In fact, I literally had yesterday a doctor say to me, I wish our real EPR Epic system was as simple as this. We've had a little bit of issue with prescribing for the F1s, not for the F2s as much. And our fellows think this is mostly because it's a bit of a challenge for the foundation year 1 doctors to prescribe anyway. So actually, that's why they're getting a bit of cognitive overload at trying to do that while being in the scenario, whereas the F2s are kind of deal with it much easier. The facilitators have found it easy to use. The main thing the facilitators need to do is push results back to the patients on their little tablet, and that's actually very simple. But they can see what the candidates are up to on the EPR system. I must say the programmer is very responsive to changes. I have made a shed load of suggestions to him over the past 6 months, and he's been very amenable to making those changes. He wants it to be a really good product. And effectively, we now got a wish list of things we're asking him to do, which he's adding to his list. He hasn't got enough time to do it all, apparently. So he's very responsive. Every discipline I've showed it to so far has been excited to use this. The physios want to come on board. They've got one scenario on already because they want to use it. Because the physio on call scenarios that we do. Midwifery, the midwives have already got their first scenario on. I tried to write some notes pretending to be the obstetrician, the midwife, the healthcare assistant. I just couldn't do it all because basically I'm not clinical. And I'll show you that scenario in a second if you like. And preceptorship have jumped in straight away and said yes, they want to use it. So everyone I've shown it to, they're really keen on using it. We're having issues. So we've now paid for next year to have it ourselves past this project. But we're already having issues with our limited account numbers and the number of patients that we've got on there. So one of the things we've discovered is that you need to try and kind of narrow down the number of subjects you're doing. So you don't have 10 different asthma scenarios, which we currently do. You've got to narrow down the number and just go, actually, we need just a couple of asthma scenarios, but they have to be fully detailed and completely multidisciplinary. So you can use them with the healthcare assistant, you can use them with the foundation doctors, you can use them with middle grade doctors, you can use them with nurses, or any combination thereof. Right, but that goes back to my original point of the challenge of actually creating a coherent patient history. And obviously, as I just mentioned there is the factor of this costs money. You have to pay for this product. So there's a photograph of our first use on the Frimley site of it. So you can see here straight away, you've got a nurse here who at the moment is just standing back, but she's a sim nurse, so she's embedded faculty. So she's not doing anything unless she's told to do something. We've got two doctors, and you see there that one doctor is assessing the patient, and the other doctor is actually looking at the history and ordering things. So they have split up quite nicely there. And there's my sim tech controlling our mannequin there, and there's one of the facilitators there who's actually playing the patient voice for the mannequin there. And then there's another facilitator here. Has anybody got any immediate questions? And have we got time for me to quickly show you the real product? Andy.
Thanks, Paul. There's already hands going up, so we'll open it up for questions and discussion in a moment. I think that I have a duty now to say that we will do what we can to support collaboration, because as you say, it's a huge amount of work. And we've got Alex Clark from Iris is actually in the meeting and will be talking to us later. And this just seems like a classic example where there doesn't only need to be only 2 asthma scenarios in Frimley, there only needs to be 2 asthma scenarios in the world.
So when this project first started, I very much pushed with the 6 trusts, and the programmer allowed it, that we all could collaborate and that we could see each other's scenarios. So there is a scenario store where you can buy each other's scenarios. Interestingly, our educational fellows decided, even though it was a lot more work, to go back to scratch and just create them completely themselves. But I must warn you, it is a lot of work. I would say we are looking at, depending on whether they're coming into ED or they've been on the ward for a while, you are looking at a minimum hours work for SimTech and then 2 hours work for a clinical fellow. So you're looking at a minimum 3 hours work, absolute minimum per scenario. So, but every time we looked at someone else's scenario, there were so many changes to be needed to be made that we just basically went back to base for us. That's just our experience. But obviously our scenarios are now available on there for anyone else to buy, and we're making ours. What we're trying to do from our perspective is the educational fellows' job is to get it ready for the foundation doctors. Right, we are then having consultants look at those and sign them off, a consultant from the relative firm, whether that's ED or somewhere else, and then we're taking the practice development nurse from that area who is then writing all the nursing notes for it to make it truly a multidisciplinary one. So it will look, each scenario from our perspective will look really complex, and I can show you a couple of them if we get time with the patient notes in. So it will look really complex, but it will be fully multidisciplinary.
Thanks, Paul. Prepare yourself to just share a bit more after we've just gone round for comments and questions.
Sure. I can demo it to you if we get time.
Yeah, we'll give you time, I think. Sarah.
Yeah, hello.
Hi,
Paul. Well, first of all, I want to thank you for the great work you're doing, because I've had to steal some of your scenarios. I just go and I see Frimley ones and I'm like, oh my God, this is so good. You know, I'm like, I don't have to reinvent the clock. So yeah, thank you. It's great to see the face behind it. So I'm from East Surrey Hospital, and technically I will be using it for the first time next week. So I've been trying to just get my head around it, and the educational fellows who's been doing undergraduate have been doing all paper, which we're not very happy about. But in trying to troubleshoot it and trying to learn, because there was a little discordance, we didn't have staff for a bit, and so I'm basically learning a lot of stuff from the scratch. I then tried to I was trying with one of the education fellows to do up a sim. We were trying to send some lab investigations in one of the cases, but it just wouldn't go through. And
sounds like a
I can't
technical
remember
issue.
which it was, and then I was wondering what the problem was. So at the end of the day, what happened was we just had to pick so many, because it kept saying, I mean, I could understand for prescribing when you haven't put in enough information and it doesn't let you send that through. But when it then has to do with requesting an investigation, I mean, the person might not have thought about a chest x-ray for an asthma patient, but probably wants an ABG, and it just didn't go through. And I was wondering, was that something we're missing?
So we've seen very few glitches, and nearly all of those we've resolved by basically just going back out and back in again as the facilitator. So sometimes it gets stuck on the previous scenario, but once we've gone back out and back in, but bear in mind, if you go back out and back in the scenario room, anything they've done gets wiped, because obviously it resets itself for the next patient. But we've not come across any transmission issues. I mean, bear in mind what's effectively happening. This is a cloud-based solution. So what's effectively happening is when you're on your controller tablet and you say send those results, your send those results command is effectively going across the internet to the server that's running this, and then goes back down to the device in the scenario room. So it's just it's just internet connectivity at that point. So obviously you've got to make sure you've got decent internet connectivity. And originally we had to bypass our IT department basically and use it on our staff Wi-Fi system, and not because I couldn't get IT on board originally. So we had real difficulty with that. But obviously now we've got IT on board now, so we've got a more reliable Wi-Fi.
Okay, so that's also good to know, because I've been having lots of back and forth with IT, and I think I just decided that we're going to just use our own devices.
Yeah, you can do it as long as you've got decent Wi-Fi. I mean,
with all the fireworks.
I mean, in theory, there's no reason why you couldn't use it out in the middle of a field using 4G.
Exactly. Theory, so which is exactly what I thought I would do. But the problem wasn't with the pushing of results was okay. It was the requesting the results. And so I was wondering if there was something we were missing.
So when you say there's a problem with requesting, are you saying it wasn't appearing in the log on the facilitator?
So if the person did that, he then told them that it wasn't complete, and then
no. I think you're missing a clinical thing here. So what happens clinically is the doctor will prescribe, and then the nurse then delivers that drug, right, and marks it that they've delivered it. So it's a two-stage process on SIM-EPR. So on SIM-EPR, a qualified candidate has to prescribe. So they have to say, I want you to give, I don't know, adrenaline, this amount of adrenaline. Then the nurse will check what that should, in theory, check what that dose is, and then deliver that dose and say it's been delivered. Is there, you probably, I mean, I'm not clinical either, but that's the way I understand it. And that's what SIM-EPR represents as well. It allows, so the first time you go on it, what you're doing is you're not delivering it, you're just saying, I want this to be prescribed for tomorrow or today or whenever. And then you need someone to actually go in and go, actually, no, I'm prescribing it. I've prescribed it. They've had it. Does that make sense?
So that means you can use more than 2 computers or systems with it.
Well, they just use the same one in the scenario room.
Oh, same one. Okay.
Yeah, it's the same way that if you think about it on paper, what should happen if we were doing this properly, and I know a lot of our scenarios, and I don't know about yours, but if it's an emergency situation, it's anaphylaxis, they don't bother prescribing. Yeah. Or it's a scenario where prescribing isn't part of the education objectives, they just don't bother doing it. But what should happen is, in the old days, is if it's a multidisciplinary scenario with doctors and nurses, right, the doctor will say, I'm prescribing this drug in the drug chart at the end of the bed, I need you to give this. And then the nurse should then check that, double check what the doctor has written, and then prescribe that. And then give it. I'm not sure whether the word prescribe, does the word prescribe means I want you to give this, doesn't it? So then they give it. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Is it possible for me to talk with you outside this, because I've got
absolutely, yes. And if you have fellows having issues, I can get them in touch with our education fellows if you like.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Really helpful. And also to say that, as you said, Aaron is really open to being contacted, the programmer, the developer. So thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Paul. I'm going to give you just a couple more minutes to show us something further if you wish. I would just remind everybody at the meeting that there is a NHS England technology readiness and maturity tool that you can use to see whether your trust, your HEI or whatever, has got the resource platform for you to be able to use all this high-tech kit. And I do recommend that you have a look at the NHS England tram and see if you can go through that with your IT department. It's a really worthwhile thing to do. Okay, Paul, back to you. But I'm only going to give you 3 minutes. We're stopping at this bit at 25 past. Okay, mate.
That's fine. So can you see my patient screen?
Yeah.
So for classic example of Aaron being very responsive, I've said that like if we're doing ED scenarios, we don't want, this is the candidate view. This is what the candidates see in there right now in the scenario room. I said, well, actually, if we're doing an emergency department scenario, they wouldn't see all these other patients. They'd only see the ED ones. So I've asked him if he can actually do a little bit of filtering at the top here, so we can just click department and then it'll just show those, and that's on his job list to do. So we can see here, so basically, just like a real EPR system, if we're used to using one of those, there is just a bunch of patients. So this is how we'd leave it like this. So if they say, so let's imagine you're a midwife and you're doing SIM, you're doing prompt, right? And you're dealing with Lucy Brown. So we've got to find Lucy Brown. So I'm just going to search for her straight away. Actually, there you go. There's Lucy. Oh, there's 2 Lucys on the system at the moment. So there's Lucy Brown. She's on the labour ward. She's delivered. And if I click her, right, we can immediately see this. So this is the main screen here. We can see her problems and diagnosis, the admission information. So she was here to give a full-term delivery, and she's got no known allergies. And I have a menu down the left-hand side here. So down the left-hand side here, if we go to patient notes, you can see all of these patient notes. Now I'm going to click on them, but do not ask me to read these out or tell you what these mean, because I do not understand these patient notes, because these are all the midwife patient notes that the midwives have written for me for this patient. Right. Notice the timings on here. So this patient came in at 5:53 this morning. So SIM EPR is set up for relative time if you want it that way. So it will always be, whenever you run this scenario, she will have come in a few hours earlier. I think like she'll have come in however many hours earlier that is. And the latest note, because it's not been finished yet, is still quite a few hours ago. Right. So here's here's her meows, I think it's called, not her news, her meows, because she's a maternity patient. So you see here she originally scored 0 as of 5:53 this morning, but as of an hour ago, she's now scoring 2 yellow and 1 red. Don't ask me what that means, I have no idea. But anyway, so that's all been set up. We can request there's been no investigations for her, which doesn't make any sense at all. Actually, this patient, this one's not been finished, and she's been only prescribed 1 thing so far. But we can request things. So you can request chest X-rays. You can add in new OBS for her if I add in new OBS, and so on. As soon as I leave this scenario, it's reset back to square one. Right, quickly in my last few seconds. Let's just choose, I don't know, let's just choose the first patient in the list. So this patient's it's an emergency department patient. That's no good. We need to choose a patient that's not an emergency department patient, so actually got something written down. How about, let's try this tribe. Let's try this one. Edith. Edith's had a NOF. So has she got any patient notes? She's got some patient notes. Now here's a classic example of where the nurses have not written any notes for me yet. This has been written for our foundation doctors. So we've got a clerking note, we've got a consultant review, we've got an operation note, but we've not. There should be a lot more notes on here if this was real, right? So our nurses still need to do this. But there's all our notes again in relative time. Here's her OBS, new scoring 0 since yesterday, but now she's suddenly, as of 5 minutes ago, new scoring 6. Right, so hopefully the candidates would do something about that. Has she had any investigations? Look, she's had a VBG. She had a VBG yesterday morning at 9 a.m. and that's her VBG results. If there was a new one, it would get shoved in there. And that's what. And there's all the drugs that this particular patient's had.
Cool. Brilliant. Thank you, Paul. That's
whistle stop tour.
I was just going to say whistle stop tour.
I tell you what, I'll be at ASPE, and since there's like over 60 of us SimTechs at ASPE, I'm bound to get together with a whole group and just chat. Anyone that wants to chat about Sim EPR, because it's my current hot topic that everyone wants to talk about.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Paul. Thanks for that. I am impressed by Sim EPR, and speaking as somebody who has been arriving at work at 6 o'clock in the morning to sit there and change the dates on drug charts or the hours and things like that in the past, this auto referral of time from now is really handy. And yeah, thank you very much for that. I'm just quickly going to have a look round if there's any further comments or questions, and if not, I'm going to ask Peter Anderson to just say hello to us. So I'm not seeing any hands up. So Peter, delighted to see you, and over to you.
Thanks, Andy. My laptop's been mucking about all afternoon, so I don't know if you can see me or hear me or anything, but if you can hear me, if you could wave at me, that would be great. Lovely, thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. As Andy said, my name is Peter Anderson. I'm Associate Dean for Kent, Surrey and Sussex. Not quite directly taking over from Ali Bakari, but some of the stuff that was in Ali's portfolio is now in my portfolio, including SIM and patient safety. So I confess I don't have a great SIM pedigree, but I am very interested and I'm very supportive of SIM. But I've spent the last 6 months or so, maybe 4 months, just trying to get a grasp of all the good work that Andy and Ali have been doing over the last few years, trying to get to meet some people, see what's going on in the different regions, and we're putting together some ideas about things going forward. As you're probably aware, there's been wholesale change with the deaneries coming under the NHS England Workforce Training and Education Directorate and oh, hello, someone else talking as well, and KSS becoming its own separate entity again. So we've got an awful lot going on, and SIM is part of that change. So quite a lot of the work that we're doing at the moment is identifying what we need to deliver, in SIM to meet curricular requirements of the however many curricula we run, about 15, 18 curricula across the region. Then what SIM is also happening within the trusts and within the individual schools and within the multi-professional arena. So, and then trying to put the two of those together to make sure that what we are delivering relates to what we need to deliver and that we're doing it in the most efficient way possible. So we need to identify the capacity that we have for delivering our simulation. We know for the most part that kit is not so much of a problem. We know that for the most part getting enough faculty together is a major issue in delivering the sim that we want to deliver, and that is medical faculty and multi-professional faculty. So some of the work that we're doing is trying to identify or trying to work out that trusts are giving sim leads enough time to do the work that they need to do and enough human resource to do the work that they need to do, and seeing what we can do, if anything, to try and help that. One of the other things that we're looking at the moment is, you may remember the happy days of recovery funding. So post-COVID, the government found, I don't know, £500,000 or something down the back of a sofa in a brown paper bag and gave it to us all to spend within about a 2-month window to buy lots of equipment so that we could get training back on. We were very good at giving that money away. What we were not so good at is tracking quite where it's gone. So we're doing a bit of work at the moment. You may have received some letters in emails in my name from Rosie asking this bit of kit that you said you were going to buy, have you got it? What is it working? Do you like it? What can we do with that? Because we want to make sure that money that was spent is being put to good use, and that we want to identify if we can use that for regional training as much as local training. We're interested in looking more at faculty development, of which this is a component, of course. So there's faculty availability, there's faculty development, and gently toying with the idea of whether sharing faculty amongst different sites would be a helpful thing to do. Obviously, that does involve some travelling, but we know there's an awful lot of good stuff going on in individual sites and in individual hospitals. Sharing the ideas is one thing, which is what this forum is all about, but the other thing that we're looking at the possibility of is potentially sharing faculty, so that when we are running courses, they actually run, because we've got enough people there to deliver them and enough people to turn up and do them. And I am conscious of time, and I've spoken too much because that is a nasty habit, and I always do it, and I'm going to stop and shut up. Thanks, Andy.
Thank you, Peter, and you haven't overstayed your welcome. That was very succinct. I just want to add, because I know that there are people who aren't at this meeting who would welcome the idea of faculty being able to visit other sites to support what's happening there, but also to see it and share it and take that back. So I think that would be very welcome. It being welcome, of course, is only halfway to being able to do it, but at least it's halfway there. So I think that's great. And on behalf of us all, welcome to your role and welcome to Simnet. Thank you very much. Okay, so we're going to, I want to give us optimum time to actually round robin round this group. And that's not merely for an update of your activity, but also kind of an ask and offer opportunity. Do you need faculty support? Do you need faculty development? Are you aware of the NHS England online simulation faculty program called Becoming Simulation Faculty, and what that has to offer free of charge for you? And how would you like us in this region to support that online program with faculty development workshops and the like, which are designed into it to a certain extent, but I'm aware of just the range of experience and expertise in simulation across the Southeast, and I think we might be able to do something bespoke to our region in terms of faculty development workshops. So I'm eager to hear what you have to say about that. But it's now my pleasure to introduce the newest member of our team, and probably individually bringing down the net age of the Simnet meeting by about 20%. Please can you all welcome Tony McBride. Toby, are you there, and are you able to bring James's video to us all? Here he is.
Hello, yes. Hello, everyone. I'm, as Andy just introduced me very nicely, I'm Toby. I'm the newest SimTech at ASPI. I've joined Andy's team alongside Sarah, James and Isabel. I'm kind of like brand new to this world, so I'm welcome to all advice and information you guys are willing to give me. And yeah, I'm happy to be here. I think Sarah's got the video, so I think she will be sharing that one.
Hi Toby, yeah, I'm going to share this now. If anyone can't hear it at all, please start shouting at me, because I'm notorious for playing things without the sound. So here we go, bear with me a second.
The team at the Regional Human Factors and Simulation Project are pleased to present an update from the Advanced Procedural Skills Centre. Based at the Medway campus of Canterbury Christ Church University, the Advanced Procedural Skills Centre hosts a range of advanced simulators purchased to address a specialty training gap in the medical curriculum. And we are pleased to announce the arrival of the new portable Symbionic suite, including mobile versions of the Angio Mentor, Lap Mentor, and Endo Mentor. This portable equipment not only doubles the equipment capacity at the APSC, but also will enable trainees to access high-quality training simulation in a range of settings, such as hospital simulation suites and wards. This, combined with the new cloud-based system, will allow trainees to not only receive in-depth, detailed training reports from sessions, but also access data from home. The new portable suite's sleek and compact design makes it transportable without the need for specialist vehicles, such as a van, reducing costs and emissions, and will enable wider participation and use of this industry-leading equipment. Thank you for watching. For more updates and bookings, please visit the Simnet blog or contact us on apsc@canterbury.ac.uk.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. It didn't sound quite as sort of as if it was coming out of the back end of a chicken when I watched it online, but yeah, apologies if you didn't like the musical accompaniment to those people watching. Have you got more to say, Toby, or shall I just talk us through the procedural skills offer? Okay, right. So as the video that James put together, James is the senior specialist, and he is one of the multi-professional fellows. So like Rosie, he's away from this meeting at the multi-professional fellows presentations, which are going on simultaneously. But what we now have to offer is this combination of the high-end kit, which is pretty well fixed in Medway, but Medway is kind of central, if you can be central to our region, and the portable kit that we are willing to loan out so that you can have something on site for what we tend to refer to as what is it, low dose high frequency simulation. So you can just pop in for a few minutes and have a couple more goes on the simulator, and it is all linked on the cloud learning management system. So I think we're the first place in the UK to be making this offer, so you can organize your training course in the Procedural Skills Centre and then take the portable kit away with you for a known amount of time, use that for your deliberate practice ongoing afterwards, and all of your data is captured on the cloud, so it can be looked at by your supervisor. So you may be, and this kit is very well designed with a lot of clinical expertise input. So it has got a little bit of, it has a substantial platform for self-directed learning. So the trainee might be in Medway, but in effect, the supervisor is able to access the data almost as fast as the trainee is creating it from wherever they may be, Hastings or Oxford or Whitstable. So it is a brilliant offer that we have for you. It has to be fixed somewhere, and it's fixed in Medway. But Medway offers a range of facilities. There's lecture theatres, there's seminar rooms, a refectory and the like. There's car parking, folks. So it's a great place to organise a training course. And the people who have visited us, so gastroscopy registrars came, and everybody was really impressed with the facilities overall that we can offer. And Sarah and I, when I say Sarah and I mean Sarah and I are putting together a glossy brochure which will have the room charging and all the rest of it for using this equipment 7 days a week. So that's part of the offer, and Sarah's putting information there in the chat for you. So thank you very much to James for the video. Not so sure about the music. Thank you to Toby for introducing us. And Burhan, you have your hand up. It's nice to see you here, by the way. Your question?
Yeah, no, that sounds, I mean, it's been a while since we last met. And obviously things have moved on since we last met, and it's really exciting. So do you have like a menu of what is on offer, or is that going to be in your glossy brochure?
Essentially, it's in the brochure, but and I'm happy to talk to you about what you would like outside the meeting, but timetables allowing, we have everything that you need to run a full day or a weekend or whatever training, and we'd be eager to work with you to do that. So I know that as soon as the ink's dry on the brochure, we're going to be looking at some advanced gynae laparoscopy training, and equally we're happy to look at other things as well. You saw in the video, for those of you who don't know, in the video you saw Victoria. Victoria is not the most flexible mannequin in the history of the world, so she spends all her time, bless her, set on the obstetric bed with her legs in stirrups. But there is also an adult male, a child, and a neonate mannequin available to you. So if you want to run a carousel type training course that goes from competency training through to performance and team training in a immersive environment with a mannequin, then we can support you to deliver that. And we have James and Toby. Toby is there full time, so we can guarantee you technical support for whatever it is that you precisely want to do.
May I just ask, you showed the Symbionics kit.
Yeah.
Does that offer bronchoscopy and EBUS? Because you mentioned gastroscopy.
Yeah. So the endoscopy simulator, I think it was the first one in the UK to offer the complete set. So it's upper and lower GI, bronchoscopy, and urology.
But not EBUS.
I'd have to check, because there are so many of these modules and all the rest of it, and we have to buy them extra. And I could, to be honest, my head is so full at the moment.
Okay.
But
I might try to catch up with you offline and explore this further. So just to share with you that I've been tasked with as post-COVID catch up for respiratory trainees to up their skills in bronch, EBUS, and thoracoscopy. So we've been doing something locally at Darenth and Brighton, but I think with what you're offering, that actually might be a better and more, professional, bespoke environment that might actually. So I might catch up with you offline then.
Yes, please do. And EBUS is definitely, as I'm sure you're aware, it's available on the kit. So it might just be a case of going down the back of Peter Anderson's sofa and seeing if we can find the money to buy that bit if we haven't actually got it. So we can work it out, definitely.
Brilliant.
And thank you.
No, thank you.
Nice to see you.
Cheers.
Okay, right. According to my timetable, I was going to say a word or two about what our aspiration is to support simulation for maternity in the region as an sort of like an added input above all the other excellent work that's ongoing across the region. And we've been working with the prompt team. So this is, as I'm sure most of you are aware, Prof. Tim Draycott and his team based in Bristol. And we are looking to develop a, let's call it a maternity prompt-like, but actually prompt agnostic train the trainers day, and workshopping from that. I hope to be able to offer a second day which will be around how the lessons from prompt. There are two very good papers that the team have produced about what a high performing team looks like in detail, and I'm hoping that we can provide some sort of central team that will be able to support shared learning and ongoing improvement. And so this is work that's taking place. You might have guessed by the way I'm describing it. This is work that's taking place right now, but we hope to be able to describe the offer to you and the timetable of it very soon. So I think that's what I'm going to say about the ongoing work for simulation for maternity. And what I'd like to do now is open the floor, so to speak, for an opportunity for you to provide us with any updates and comments on current work, or questions about what we're doing and how we're doing it. So if you want to just put your hand up, and I will go around and give you all a chance to speak. And I would really like to hear from all of you, but let's go to Nick Tavel. Hi, Nick.
Hi, Andy. I'm not going to put my video on because I'm at the tail end of a nasty lurg, that being the precise medical term. Just obviously, congratulations on the centre. It looks absolutely wonderful. The video sounded fine from my end, not like a chicken's backside. On the sort of flip side of the sort of high end of technology, some of you may be aware that we have an Adam Gel group sort of working out of UHS, which we're trying to expand. But effectively, we're making models. Last year, we made thoracotomy trainers, emergency front of neck access trainers, and ultrasound guided vascular access trainers. We're gaining a bit more momentum and sort of looking for people to basically join the group. We're collaborative, freedom of access to medical education people. One of the things I picked up at the local Southeast Coast EM conference is that there's a need for cheaper perimortem section models. So if anyone wants to get involved in that, and if anyone's just interested in model making, I sort of talked to Dr. Khan about the bronchoscopy one, which is sort of a target that we want to do, reproducing edema in the airway, reproducing edematous airways in actual mannequins which can't be intubated, as opposed to the ones where the tongue's swelling. It's really just about welling and knocking a few teeth out to get the tube down. So yeah, low-end modeling group, if you're interested, we've supported now courses outside of UHS from, I think, Cornwall to Eastbourne, and we've also sent these models to the Ukraine, to Kenya and Uganda to support training of paramedics and sort of volunteer medics in ongoing humanitarian crises, of which there seems to be quite a lot of these days. So if you're interested in learning how to cook this stuff, I'll disseminate the slides and the recipes. It's an open invitation to collaborate, and I'd love to see what our models look like on your new machines, Andy, at some point, because I think that would be quite a nice marriage of technology at the high end, low end. And we're making BAL for anastomosis as well. So that's my shameless plug.
Thanks very much, Nick, and I hope that you completely recover in a timely manner from the lurgy, and best wishes for that. I just want to add that Adam Gell had a poster, a prize-winning poster and a workshop at our previous regional conference, and it is amazing that you can just sort of cook this stuff up and recook it. I do recommend, if you don't know about Adam Gell, have a look and maybe have a word with Nick and his team. And I think that the bespoke solutions to some of these problems is something that will be becoming more and more relevant, because simulation now has just got so big and so vast that sort of small local solutions are going to be about the only way you can possibly innovate, I think, in the future. And I'd like to see us use our regional expertise in that way in the future. Okay, so I'm looking around the room for hands up, and I'm not seeing many at the moment. I might ask, so Paul has a hand up. Isabel, I wonder if I could ask you for an update on your work in a moment after we've heard from Paul. Hi, Paul.
I'll only be 30 seconds for a change. All I wanted to say, apart from Sim EPR, I think, was I have literally just yesterday got my hands on a MetaQuest 3 VR MR headset, which looks very interesting. And I definitely think mixed reality is going to be the way forward for simulation, in my opinion. But it's early days yet, because obviously it's only just been released. And I'm delighted to report at my trust, Frimley Health Foundation Trust, that we are basically quadrupling, I think, our simulation service. We've just taken on 2 new SimTechs and 3 SimTech apprentices from nowhere. So it's like, that's great, you know. So our service is going great guns now. And I think that's probably all we need to say at the moment, I think. Thanks.
Well, thank you, Paul, and congratulations on quadrupling your service. That's great. And I'm also delighted to hear about the apprentices. And I'd just like to say something to the meeting on the subject of apprentices. I see your hand up, Chrissy, by the way. We'll come to you in a moment. On the subject of apprentices, what's going to happen is that the apprenticeship route in NHS trusts, I feel, is going to become more and more popular, and it's going to create an imbalance between the existing provision of simulation to HEIs and the movement of NHS staff from undergraduate to apprenticeship. And the trusts are going to find that their simulation room in a cupboard is no longer adequate to cope with their apprentices across the fields. And we're going to have to find some way of redistributing this new challenge to capacity, which is sort of outdating the placement of resources at the moment. So I think that might be quite interesting. Okay, Isabel, if you don't mind waiting for a moment, we'll come to Chrissy. Hi, Chrissy.
Hi, Andy. Hi, everyone. Nice to see you. I was just going to talk about what we're doing at St Barnabas and Chestnut Tree House hospices, which are adult and children hospices in West Sussex. So there's several people on the call today from our organisation. So the first thing I wanted to tell you about is that we're very pleased to have our new apprentice simulation technician, whose name is Anna Moss, and she's on the call. Anna started with us about 6 weeks ago and has been doing some really, really great work with us already, and doing some experimenting with Adam Gell and microwaves and all sorts of exciting things that technicians do. And we're really pleased because those of you that know what we've been doing in St Barnabas, we're specifically looking at simulation in end of life and palliative care, which is kind of fairly new, and John and I did a workshop at the conference in May, which we're really pleased to do. So this Anna's appointment is kind of the next stage of that we were really pleased to use some of our simulation money for her post, which is it's interesting you're talking about the apprenticeship, because it is an apprenticeship, and just a few kind of little teething problems with the apprenticeship provider that we have chosen. So we're just kind of trying to sort some of that through. But in the meantime, we've got a really nice partnership with University Hospital Sussex, where Anna's going and learning some of the craft there, but also bringing that back and taking the focus on palliative and end-of-life care to that environment as well. So that's kind of a quick summary of what we're doing. I don't know whether
and
either
she's
John.
very, very welcome at UHS Sussex.
Thank
Thrilled
you.
to have her and to
Thank
build
you.
those teams, especially with yourself and John. And I know that Jules has put a lot of work into that as well. So I think it's like Andy said, probably about 2 years ago, you know, that cross-pollination of ideas between primary and secondary and between centres is what actually strengthens the region in terms of its sim offering. I'm just going to bomb the photos of my models in chat, by the way, so please, that's just for interest's sake, but she's very, very welcome.
Thank you, Nick. I really, really appreciate that. And I was going to say, we are really interested in kind of writing up the partnership work, you know, considering putting it in as an abstract for a poster at the next conference, because I think it's that, you know, shared learning. What are we bringing as, you know, a hospice environment to an acute hospital setting, and, you know, where is that shared learning? So yeah, talk to my team and also Julie Turner about putting something in, and we're keen to. But generally, we're kind of slowly developing our work and integrating simulation into the things that we already had on our programme. Things like recognising dying, verification of expected death. We're using our mannequins and other simulation facilities we've got, and then also a lot of our work is on clinical skills teaching, so using that alongside. So I can see Anna's put her hand up. So thank you.
Thanks, Christine. Anna, we'll go straight over. I'm trying not to talk too much, but I have to say that Christine and her team have done some great work, and they asked questions about whether simulation was the right thing to do and how to prepare safely for simulation, that really made me think and readdress how I think about it. So that was really interesting and exciting. So thank you. Anna.
Hi everyone. Can you hear me okay? Yeah, great, thank you. Yeah, thank you very much for the welcome, Chrissy and Nick and everybody. I haven't got a lot to say yet, but I just wanted to show my face, and yeah, so I'm really happy to be here. I'm really excited, and yeah, really pleased, Nick, to hear that there's an Adam Gel group. I've just been playing around with John's old microwave and some ingredients. And,
yeah, it's not quite as high end as it potentially sounds. I'm quite good at selling it. Most of the time, the stuff is made on my drive in Worthing. A lot of the stuff is made out of used pallets and things that I sort of drive off the side of the road. But you know, in terms of helping you with the Adam Gel, probably we need to book a day to kind of resume cooking sort of tutorials to disseminate the methodology, because I was just seeing Paul was saying that he quite likes the look of the chest cavity. And I think possibly if there was interest from Simnet, Andy, then what we could do is potentially host a cooking day to kind of invite members along to learn how to make the different trainers, and then have time with people to talk about individual models. Because there's all sorts of different projects which I've been approached by. But Amy, not Amy, sorry, couldn't read. Anna, if you want to come and do some cooking with me, I think you've got my email address. You can just
Yeah.
drop me a line, and
Oh, brilliant.
we're going to be cooking a lot in preparation for ASPE
Okay.
coming up. So yeah, lots of opportunities if you don't mind standing in the rain in a drive in Worthing.
Yeah. I'd love to. Thank you, Nick. That's great.
Indeed.
Okay, right. I'm looking around the room again. And if I don't see a hand in a moment, I'm just going to ask Isabel to update us on her 2 roles and her work. And congratulations, Isabel, who has a paper published in the International Journal. Hi.
Thanks, Andy. It was nice to be here today. Yes, it's been a really exciting time. So following the success of our Simulation for Mental Health education programme, which was a programme that was designed in co-production with our experts by experience. So they were central to the design, the delivery and the evaluation of the programme. This was a multi-agency education programme, and it was open to multi-agency, multidisciplinary professionals across the South East and England. And we had excellent attendance. It focused on mental health, so in particularly psychotic disorders, depressive disorders, and personality disorders. And it provided a safe platform for our multi-agency professionals to participate and observe, question, challenge and reflect, and to collaborate in an inclusive, safe environment. The programme was extremely successful. We had great feedback, and from the pilot, we went on to run 3 more programmes, and we wrote up our work, which Andy said, we're delighted that it's just been published now in the International Journal of Healthcare Simulation. And we're now going on to develop our open access course, which we're very excited about, which is going to start at the end of January, beginning of February. Dates will be announced. This will be open to multidisciplinary people, multi-agencies, to come and experience this programme and to get a real kind of joined up approach, holistic approach to managing acute and community mental health illness. So we're very, very excited about that. So that's all happening in my simulation role. And in my other role within the faculty as lead, we are working very hard to embed our new expert by experience strategy and recruitment and retention process, which is becoming embedded, and that started at the new academic year. And just working with academic staff to work more collaboratively, involving our service users and our partners, who obviously have a really valuable contribution to student learning and development. So that's going really well. There's a lot of work to do, but we're getting there. Thank you.
Thanks, Isabel. I just want to emphasize that I remain convinced that simulation offers a unique opportunity as a platform for co-production with experts by experience, and the sort of blurring between simulated people and experts by experience, which we might be able to share with people at our workshop at HPSN in Nottingham in December.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, Isabel. I'm going to offer us the chance for a break now, and just get some of the creases out from between your shoulder blades and take a step away from the screen. If we take 10 minutes and reconvene at 3:15, I think that would be both welcome and healthy, and also reassuring for me when you all come back at 15:15. So see you then, and thank you very much for your participation so far. Thank you. See you at 1:15. if I ever manage to get through a complete meeting without trying to speak once with my mic muted, I'm going to give myself some sort of medal or a certificate. Anyway, welcome back, everybody. I think I'm sharing my screen, so you should see a slide about ASPE in Brighton. Yeah? Yeah, is that a hand up? Yes, yes, okay, great, thank you both. And well, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to give you a bit of background about the ASPE conference coming up very soon, our regional conference, which is coming together wonderfully at Solent University, Southampton in May, and a word or two about simulated people training. And then I'm going to ask Alex Clark, founder and product developer for Iris, to just give us her update on what's going on with Iris. And Alex, if you have any comments on what we've been hearing about SIM-EPR and the work required to create the to create a scenario and so on, we'd be interested in hearing that as well. So first of all, next event, if you like, 6th to the 8th of November at the Brighton Metropole is the ASPE conference. I was in meetings about this morning. We have a substantial number attending the pre-conference workshops, which are on the 6th. And for the conference itself, we are well over 500, well over 500 in total, and hovering around 500 for attendees if you subtract like industry and the like. So it's going to be the best conference yet. ASPE is 14 years old at this conference. We've got some great keynote speakers, and the program, I could share the program with you, but you don't really need to see that. The program is really filling out very well. And just a reminder that SMOTS, the AV company, the AV provider company, have celebrated their 60th anniversary with supporting 60 simulation technicians to attend ASPE. So the simulation technician group or collaboration will be really strong this year. But equally alongside that, we're getting more and more inclusive and diverse in terms of healthcare professions that are attending. The ASPE executive now includes radiographers and physios and more and more non-medical, non-critical care groups. So that's ASPE in Brighton, where I'm particularly emphasizing this just because it's relatively local for us. So yeah, we're the local team for Brighton, and I hope to see you there, and it should be really good. And there's an excellent pre-conference workshop on sustainable simulation, which will be really good, despite the fact that I'm one of the presenters for it. Right, I'm going to make the slides go. Okay, so moving on to our next regional conference, so the NHS South East Conference, Simulation for Safety. The pre-conference workshop and dinner is the 22nd. The conference itself is the day of the 23rd of May. That's the Wednesday and Thursday, May 24, hosted by Solent University in their spectacular conferencing facilities. We had a meeting with them this morning, Sarah and I, and it's looking to be a really superb location for the conference and the industry exhibition. Tickets on sale now. Abstract submission is open. And one of the things I would like to highlight is we haven't confirmed this, but what I'm hoping to be able to do is that Solent University has a fantastic maritime simulation suite. So I'm hoping that we can do some innovative work on how does a maritime bridge differ to, let's say, an intensive care unit or something like that. So what sort of simulation cross-cutting with maritime simulation can we have a look at whilst we're at Solent University? So I'm looking for innovative opportunities in that conference, and abstracts are open now and early bird tickets are on sale. Thirdly, finally, we heard from Isabel. Isabel has two roles. She's the academic lead for experts by lived experience for the Faculty of Health and Medicine, Health and Social Care. But she is also a SIM fellow for us, for Simnet, looking at simulated people and co-production. I remain convinced that there is a unique opportunity to bring together experts by experience, co-production and simulated people on a safe platform of simulation. So we're continuing with our program of simulated people. We're training on the end of October, and we've capped attendance at 30, and we're building up a waiting list for the next day. And we are able to offer our trained SPs for work, and our rate for SPs is they're just paid on the Unitemps pay scale. So I'm going to say it's around about £15 per hour, and they need travel and subsistence and support on the day. And other than that, that's the SP provision which we are offering. And as the program goes on, I'm hoping that we're going to develop something interesting and publishable on co-production, experts by experience and expert SPs. So that's really the end of my summary of those things that are coming up and ongoing. So in a moment, I'm just going to introduce, well, I'm now introducing Alex Clark. We do have 120 IRIS licenses across the region, permanent licenses, currently funded by us to March 2024. And I'm delighted that Alex is here. Hi, Alex. I'm going to stop talking in a minute, just burbling on now. Welcome to you, and please give us your update.
Hi, everybody. Let me just share my screen. Just to just recap in terms of what IRIS is, just in the one slide. What we've got in IRIS is a library, and I'll show you the library that you've got access to, which is shared from all the different communities around the world. Lots in the UK, obviously. It's about 767 fair shared scenarios at the moment. And that's at the heart of IRIS. When you're looking to write a scenario, does something exist? Could we reuse it? And then, or even reuse it or repurpose it to make it into a slightly adjusted focus. If you can't, so if there's not anything in there, then IRIS is giving you a design wizard, step through, following an Axel guidance and ASPE guidance and ASPE guidance and so on, of best practice really for how to create a robust and really high quality scenario. And in here, I'll show you this in a second, just this ability to collaborate. So we've just really beefed up the whole ability for interprofessional writing of scenarios between teams, all living in the same and working on the same scenario together. When we're covering mannequin, SP, hybrid, minisim. So minisim was used recently by Jane, who may be on this call. We've now developed a lot of primary care scenarios. In fact, ASPI are about to share out 18 scenarios developed by the Oxstar region, which are for infrequent acute cases, and which every GP, sort of every GP's nightmare. So there's a suite of those that are going to be shared out to everybody through the FareShare library at ASPI, and that's one of the sessions that's being run by Anne Maloney, who's been the lead on that. So once you've got your scenario either through the library or the design, then you're able to push out to set up and run a simulation, and that's both the scripts for the facilitator running the scenario, the SPs if they're involved, scripting for voice of God type stuff, and then also Simtech setup physically of the environment and running of the simulator. On that front, we're currently, so it was nice to hear your update, Paul, on SimEPR. We're actually working with Aaron at the moment and trying to get an export, a connection between Iris and SimEPR. So a scenario written in Iris, the elements of that will contribute to creating the patient record are actually pushed out to SimEPR. Also of relevance, we're working on a script for pushing out a script for GOMARD. So I think you've got a lot of GOMARD simulators in Kent, Surrey, Sussex, and at the moment we push out to Maestro, CAE Maestro, Lairdale, iSimulate, Immersive Interactive, those sorts of UbiSim, those sorts of environments, and we're constantly trying to build that out. And obviously this is all built on standards of best practice. So just trying to make the standards of best practice be really easy to just deliver on, because they're built into the wizard and the guidance around how to do that is there. So that's what Iris is doing, those three things: library, design, and then set up and run. So if we have a look at it, let's come into the actual system. Here you've got the homepage where you land. If you come in the notifications, I haven't got any current, which I haven't yet read. But as soon as I read them, they come into the history. And they're basically like a chat. So you'd get a notification here to show you that there's a little red mark saying you've got 5 messages. You would also see it on the top menu here and on the tab if you're not actually in Iris, but maybe you're co-designing with somebody and you've got Iris open. You can literally see this little logo will switch to a red mark showing you've got a notification from a colleague that you might be collaborating with. And from here, you can just click through straight into a scenario. So I just click through into that one. Let's click it through. There's that one. Click through. You'd land here on the review page, okay, which allows you to see the published version, where you're at in the status of writing the scenario in a published version, okay. And you can literally chat. So you're chatting like a WhatsApp. You can do things like, like reply and have reactions, all those type of things. Okay. So you've got a rich capability in terms of being able to actually work together. Just another feature in there, you can also do a hashtag, like you just go hashtag resources, and it'll say, which do you want to comment on? Well, I want to comment on required setup and resources. And you can see here that these are examples of those. So desired actions and outcomes, it auto focuses on it. Now I want to see this comment about learning objectives. It just auto focuses on it, so that you can actually have very targeted conversations as well based on the scripts that you're building up. The wizard itself is this is the lead through wizard. So starting from the front, the focus of the scenario, the resources, the briefings effectively for faculty and so on, and patient and instruction to learner. Then into the design side, states. This is the mini sim, and then desired outcomes, debriefing points and so on. But it's leading you through, and all the way through you've got the guidance. Okay. And this is tied, you can see this is tied into all of the, you're linking back here to the objectives. Obviously, those are tightly tied together. And then on debriefing, it's giving you the guidance, but also then just giving you the access to the actual source guidance from an Axel on that one. Okay. If we look at the library, this is what you've got access to currently. So you've got ability to filter here on things like the actual schools and departments that are relevant for what you're looking for. You've got filtering by patient groups, by organ systems, and so on. So very easy to actually try and hone down the type of content that you're looking for and access that. You can see here I've got all fair share, which is what you've got access to, selected. And in there you will see you've got 767 scenarios so far. So those are all available for you. And if you see something which is close to what you want, so you can just scan across, maybe you want to check for sepsis or something. And you just come in and you can see what you're looking at literally by hovering. That's like your exec summary comment on it. If you see something that's relevant, you can come in and preview it. So you pull up the full report and then read it like the actual scenario story effectively, and that's all there easily. If it's something that you want to use directly, you can. Also, you can duplicate that scenario and you then become a derivative. So that all of the IP ownership is maintained and you become a derivative author of that scenario and are able to then modify it and create the team that you want to have actually working on that. So say this was a duplicate, it isn't, but say it was, in here I can now start adding my team and bringing my interprofessional team in to work with me on it. And we've then obviously got this review capability where we can chat and sort of co-design and co-build the scenario. Just one final thing in terms of sort of management of things. There's when you get to step 6, this is bringing you into like a self-assessment, just to go through and reflect on how your scenario has shaped up and how confident you are with it. Just these are the sorts of things that in Axel, ASPE are looking for. You're just saying whether your scenario actually meets that criteria. That'll give you a rating. And then if you're designing on your own, for example, but you do want somebody else to come and review, you can just request a review. So you come in here, by default, it'll go to your organization. So say Kent, Surrey, Sussex, and then you would search for a user that you want to add in to be your reviewer. And that would then send them an invite. They would get a notification, they'd get a email digest, and then they can come in and work with you to review it and give you any feedback. One last thing on the reviews is you can also set up in this review area. I can't see it on this one actually, but in the mainstream in the review area, you've also got the ability to review a scenario on an annualized basis. So you just set up an annual review point, and that allows you to then just come in and see it and see if any maybe protocols have changed or there's some update, something that's updated, and you just come and refresh it, make sure it's current for the upcoming year and so on. So it allows you to keep the library that you've got sort of current and up to date as a resource. Just picking up on the mental health side, we're actually just starting to work with the mental health network in the Health Education Southwest region. So it would be really great to connect on that front as well, in terms of the sorts of things that Isabel you're doing on the mental health side. Just as a way of actually, I think you've got scenarios in Iris, but a way of actually making those resources more broadly available. If that was of interest, that would be great. And that's it. So if there are any questions, happy to take them.
Thanks, Alex. We'll come to Sarah first, please.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize I was muted. Hi, thank you for the presentation. I've just got a simple question to ask with respect to the library. Have we got anesthetic scenarios on there? Because I mean, the challenge I've got with CME-PR is that they're non-anesthetic or ITU type ones. Just because it's an easy way to start.
Sorry, I didn't catch your question. Have we got what type of scenarios?
Anesthetic ICU type scenarios in the library.
Yeah, you've actually got quite a few anesthetic, actually from East Kent. So East Kent have written a lot of anesthetic, and you would literally just go and check in.
Okay, I can see.
Yeah, so just
it's right there.
Yeah, let's just come in here. Let's try.
The second one down there, anesthetic obs scenario 5. I think that's one.
Yeah.
So
Barry Featherstone is East Kent written a lot of stuff that's available to you.
So Barry Featherstone's an East Kent anaesthetic consultant and was their sim lead for, I don't think he is any longer, and a long time advocate of Iris also.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Actually,
thank you.
David Grant's an anaesthetist as well, isn't he?
Is he? He's an intensivist, isn't he? So I didn't realise he was an anaesthetist as well.
Oh, it was, well,
Peter Anderson's ITU and ex-anaesthetist, and so am I.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. That's why everybody's
Super.
nodding off, Nick.
I have that effect on people.
Right. Yeah, so if you go in, you've got license access, so go in and you can just search for content using these filters at the top. I mean, I just put an anesthetic there. I could probably find more as well by the schools departments. There'll be in here. There's anesthesia, and that's now providing another level of filtering and so on. So you've got an easy way to find things. We will actually be adding in an AI engine onto that library as well to search much more deeply and find content, even if it hasn't been tagged. It'll find it and suggest it, and even suggest back to the author, would you like us to tag using these tags for this scenario, so that it's just a yes, I would, and it's done type thing. So it'll help you just sort of keep the quality of that library and the access to all of the resources really very, very extensive. So, okay. I'm very happy to work with any of you that would like a hand sort of getting going, and also around where you have got programs of work where you've put together a body of work, which is exactly as you were talking about, Isabel, and like the GP cases that I was mentioned earlier from Oxstar. That stuff is just wonderful to be able to spread more broadly and to the community, so it benefits sort of more broadly. So just ping me.
Thank you, Alex. And
thank you.
Yeah, I still remain impressed by Iris, and it's a very kind offer to support people getting going. Right, I'm once more looking around the room. In the chat, there's quite a bit of stuff. If you haven't seen it in the chat, the admirable Sarah will be creating minutes from this meeting, which we'll be sharing, and we'll add a note on that about how to submit abstracts for Simnet Simulation for Safety 2024. Thank you, Paul, for your notes on the scenarios and for your other contributions. Thank you to everybody. This is my last call. Is there any other business, any other comments or questions or asks for support? And Sarah, can I highlight for you, Sarah has put in the chat the link to a survey, the Simnet online survey. So please do find that link. I'll give you a couple of minutes to find it. We'll put that in the report as well, I think, if we can. We're trying to find out what you want, what's missing, and what you could do without. And if there is nothing more and no other business, although it's early, and I know that's unheard of for online meetings where I'm supposed to get to the stage where I'm allowed to use the phrase, I'm conscious of time, but I'm not going to bother. Thank you very much to everyone for your attendance and your comments. Please do feedback to us. Let us know what you want next time. And and very best wishes to you all. And see you at ASPE and see you at Simnet 2024. Thank you all very much. Goodbye.
Yeah, thank you very much. Alex, is it okay if I reach out to you? I hope your email is on there.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So I'll just pop it in here.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, got it.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, just drop me a note and we can hook up on it.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Thanks.
Just wanted to say well done for keeping the momentum on this meeting set going, to both of you, Sarah and Andy. I know what a beast of organisation this can be, so hats off to you. That's all
Thank you kindly, Nick. Thank you kindly, and thanks for your contributions, and do get well, completely well soon.
I'll send you some PowerPoint slides just on the work that the Adam Gel stuff does, including the recipe. And obviously, you know, I think it would be really good to do an offering for the techs as a sort of almost tech-focused day in the future, because I think that's where a lot of the innovators will be in terms of the future of this kind of whole thing. And also, yeah, anyway, I'm going to go collect my thoughts and take another lem sip, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think that SimTech is becoming much more acknowledged and recognized now. And that consequently there's really more of a, and there's more of a community and a community feel to reach into as well, Nick. So yeah, I think that's appropriate.
I think my only feel from just listening to Paul and listening to kind of Neil and some of the other techs I've encountered with is, I think there's scope that probably as a region, what we need to be doing is running SimTech clinical days so that they get exposure to some of the kind of, and when this is happening, this is what a clinician is thinking. So it's like, instead of saying, oh, you know, the cap refill is 4 to 5 seconds, it's like, if the blood pressure's in its boots, the peripheral cap refill will be long because of X, Y, and Z, and give them that understanding that gives them just a bit more power over their own role, if you see what I mean. But I'm not sure how it would look, and I think it's a piece of work which maybe we could collaborate on. And I think a few surveys would probably be the best bet, and maybe stick it out at ASPE and then 6-month collection period, and then look at it thematically together and see if we can get a decent offering for the academic 24-25 year between the centres, as it were, with online development. Because I think the other thing is there's a lot of stuff about mixed reality too, but the pedagogy has not been proved as for, or andragogy, because I hate the word pedagogy. David Halliwell would slap my knuckles for that, but it's kind of, I don't think it's been conclusively proved yet to my satisfaction that the level of investment is going to offset that. I think there are some easy wins, and I think it will get there. But what's your take on it all?
Very similar to yours. I'm quite enthusiastic about how it can be applied and used. I'm a little bit anxious that the wow factor overwhelms the actual
output.
And it is a question, as always, of getting that right.
Yeah,
but
I still remember Dave Halliwell saying to me, you know, Nick, I can make people cry over a tissue box. And really, I think the art of being a simulationist is actually being a storyteller. And that is through whatever medium we choose, really. VR is one of them, but it's not the only one. And I think I'm a bit cautious about it myself.
Sorry, can I just
Bromley.
interrupt? At a very mundane level, because this is really all just new for me. I've got a sim tech that's going to resume work next week. So she's very fresh. I'm just slightly better than her. I'm the sim fellow. And I've just been trying to find my way around all the stuff that was left by everybody that disappeared. So, but
Where
I'm
are
just
you,
wondering
Sarah?
now. Sorry, I'm in East Surrey.
Okay, so Red Hill.
Yeah, Red Hill.
So is Naveen Matthias there still?
No, Naveen has left. Naveen was on maternity leave, so she left.
Yeah.
And then the sim tech was away for some, I think, some extended leave. So nothing was really happening. And then I got this job, and then there was no sim tech because the sim tech had just resigned. So I'm here, but I've been trying to figure out and trying to reach out to anybody I can.
Anesthetic sim fellow?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So you're talking to the right group, because Andy is ODP background and I'm anesthetic sim fellow as well. The other thing is I've got several contacts in Red Hill, people like Hannah Lehman, etc., who might be able to help. So what are your specific needs and how can we help you?
So the sim tech has no background in the new one, has no background in any of this. So we're just going to show her some of all that. I think the background she has is she's worked with estates. That's as far as it goes. But I'm told that she's quite enthusiastic. So she's going to have her first watching on a simulation on Tuesday. She's just going to observe and see what all that is. She's probably going to be a little overwhelmed. And then I'm going to see her on Wednesday before we have our first go on Thursday. So I'm not really sure how much I need to tell her or what. I mean, I've had the conversation with Lidl because they would need to take us through some of the equipment and all of that. But I told them that I need her to get a hang of what's going on before we do any of that. So,
are you primarily running Lairdale mannequins up there?
Yes, Lidl that we have.
Okay, so the great thing about Lairdale, they're not necessarily the best mannequin out there, but I don't know if Andy would agree with this. I think they've got the most intuitive interface for a novice to learn. In terms of their SimPad software and stuff like that. So my strong suggestion would be if she's watching one day, get her to watch for half the day and then teach her how to fly the computer for the next half of the day. And sort of then just take her through at lunchtime or whenever there's a break, turning the whole center off and turning it back on again and film it so that she's got kind of a point of reference for the kind of peculiarities of each center. As it were, and just make her do that once under supervision and once using the voice note, because I've had to get used to 4 different centers. Every time I do it, I have to get my sim tech to basically show me how to do it. I record them. I get them to stand with me once so I can ask some questions and things. And then I go through it on my own with some headphones to see where I'm tripping up. And that will help test your center's induction documentation, which it sounds like if there's not that in place currently, that's a great quality improvement project for a new starting tech to get their teeth into and give them ownership of something so that they feel that they have sort of a say. I know that there are very good anaesthetist or anaesthetic consultants there who will
Yeah.
support this as well.
Yeah,
My strong advice is Hannah Lehman, if she's around, would probably be a good starter for 10, but I'm not sure who's head of sim there at the moment.
Hannah Lehman, I'm not sure I've met the person. I could always
She
check.
should be on OBS. She was my reg.
OBS. Okay.
Because you're the anaesthetic sim fellow, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
So
I am.
it's kind of, I'm sure there's a general sim lead for the centre who Andy.
Oh yes, there is. Wahid, Salima Wahid.
Okay, so
yeah,
again, it's sort of I think one of the things I'm finding is having decent onboarding documents, having decent videos and multimodal media for people to access when they first start at a centre is really important, because I'm quite old school. I'll go to a textbook, like the ones which used to come with Windows 95, Andy, 600 pages of Bill Gates brain. But nowadays it's better to have a kind of, if you think about when you go through a museum tour, like when they come in the center, how would you orientate them? How would you talk? On your right is the light switch. It's at about 4 feet off the ground. It's the one on the right, not the one on the left. Please don't press the one on the left, or that will vent, the escape pods or whatever. So it's going through it yourself and teaching it will help you better understand the center too, and where the standard trip ups are, where things like, if you cannot connect to the mannequin, make sure someone's not turned the power outlet on to save on power, and that your SimMan 3G actually is fully charged. So and the other thing is, don't do it alone. The whole point of Simnet is a collaborative. Sorry, Andy, I'm really you know me, can't keep quiet. It's collaborative, it's supportive, it's kind of, we've all been there, we've all been day one. So put her in touch with the wider network, talk to Chris Gay and Paul Wilder, get her onto that kind of tech network, maybe get an experienced SimTech like Paul to introduce her to the group. Can everyone please welcome X? She's one of the new tech. She may have a few, or he may have, or they may have a few more kind of questions than usual. Please, can we all be supportive? And that way you're empowering the techs to kind of create that firm mesh that Andy's been working on, if you see what I mean. Andy, sorry, is that reasonable?
Yeah, it's very thank you, very useful. Sorry, the person I should get in touch with is Paul who? What's his surname?
Wilder. I'd get
Paul, didn't you?
Okay.
So he gave the first presentation today.
Oh yeah, Paul. Paul. Yeah. Okay, fine.
He's obviously got his teeth in the bit.
He
and
totally does.
And you want enthusiasts, and potentially for their development, maybe consider actually trying to ship Paul down to you for a day from Friendly.
Yes. I'd already made a mental note that we probably need him.
Yeah, you the more people you invite and the more people you go and see, the better. She's welcome at UHS anytime to come and have a look at our stuff. I'm sure Andy would echo the same, although I think you're breaking in poor Toby at the moment and his choice of music. But the main thing is, reach out, get help. We're all here just to make it a bit better.
Well said. I've put Paul's email in the chat.
Perfect.
He won't mind me doing that, and he'll be happy to hear from you. I would say that Lairdor's national headquarters are in Orpington, which isn't that far from Redhill, is it?
It's not.
But I've got one of their reps who's really good and who's been coming around to help.
That's Sarah, by any chance?
Sarah Guns.
Sarah, really good.
Sarah Guns is superb. And again, just getting Sarah down for a day, bill it as routine mannequin maintenance, and get your tech to sort of shadow them, and you'll be ahead of the game. And tell Sarah in advance that you've got a new tech who needs to be shown the ropes, but you'd also like the maintenance to be done, and
to come down. We booked something for maintenance and all that. Sarah's been great. So and again, I mean, I've been in touch with Julie because I came from Chichester. So
did you?
Yeah. So
okay.
Oh yeah. Chris always talked about you.
Chris Torilla.
Yeah.
Well, poor Chris is not answering my emails at the moment because he knows exactly what answering them means. But it's okay because I know where he lives. But no, please, you know, all of my regs are up there, you know, who are now consultants. So, you know, if there's any help you need, just let us know.
Okay, thank you so much.
Welcome.
And finally, if you would like, if you have a small group or just you and your tech would like an online meeting, mentoring session on simulation education theory or whatever, I'd be happy to do that for you.
Okay.
So just drop us a line and we could just have a quick Q&A
and
intro
you know, there
to
are some
simulation.
very good PG certs for them in the future, run at both
Yes.
Kent and Canterbury and BSMS.
Actually, Nick, I've stopped mine now.
What?
So I've stopped it. So so I now work 3 days a week. So I had to give up something, and so I've given up the academic component. So I'm no longer competing. So I'm very happy to push your PG
well,
cert.
Andy, you know, the other thing I was going to say is, you know, you losing a voice like yours, I always viewed it as there are different options and different voices.
Yeah.
If you sort, I mean, maybe what we could do is schedule you to come onto ours so that you don't necessarily give it up for good, but are still, you know, maybe you and I need to have a chat offline about kind of stuff like that, and just kind of making sure that, you know, there's custodianship of the knowledge you've gained, because, you know, Simnet was originally a BSMS thing until it went dead, and you resuscitated it into what it is now, which is, you know, this wonderful collaborative group, and has gone far further than BSMS took it. So I think, you know, it's like I've always said to people, there's room on the playing field for everybody.
I quite agree, and thank you for kind words. And yeah, I would be delighted. And I was in Bromley, funnily enough, because Ali Bakari is Bromley's medical education director, or whatever the term is. And so as a favour, I went to Bromley and did a day's simulation faculty development there on Monday. So I still managed to get me 5 tenors in now and then.
You know what, I might pay for a day just because I've never actually heard your take on it, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
And I think it would be useful to, because obviously I've heard Dave Halliwell's, I've heard Joe Lawrence's, I've heard Julie Turner's, I've heard Alex Saunders, and obviously I've come to Simnet, but I've never actually heard your full, you know, your full kind of take on it. I think I know roughly where it would sit, and I've talked to Ken Spearpoint for hours about various different things, but it's sort of yeah, I think there's potential to recapture some of that, because again, it's I don't think we agree on all points, which is not, you know, exactly what you want. You want discussion, you want division to foster academic argument, because if everyone's on the same page, it's all very boring.
That's but it's not going to happen. I can't imagine anything being boring with you anyway, Nick. But well, I've got to go, because it's at 4 o'clock. There's somewhere else
Let me put you in touch with Wajiha, who's the new head of Sim currently at BSMS, although it may land back on my shoulders. But it's kind of one of the things I'd be very interested in talking about further is the Sim tech role, and also major incident stuff, which I think will be exciting for you. Anyway, let's schedule a chat, and I'll be at ASPE anyway, so we can always grab 5 minutes there potentially.
Yeah, we'll see you. We'll see you at ASPE.
Shall I admit her? I'm not sure I should.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Rosie. Everyone's gone.
Hi, Rosie.
Yeah, because I've been at the Multi-Professional Sim Fellows Induction Day, and we hosted a session with Bryn Baxendale on the evaluation toolkit, and it was brilliant. It was really, really good. So I just thought, now that's finished, I'll pop in and see what's going on.
So that's great that it went well. Was James was there? Yeah, was James okay?
Really, oh, he was great. He was great. Very, you know, it was a very interactive session, and that's always a bit awkward, like who's going to speak, but he was great. He really carried people along and put his hands up, and then everybody else did. It was good.
Wonderful.
Very encouraging.
That's great. That's great. Okay. Well, I can't think of anything else to say, actually, Rosie. I'm talked out.
Oh, I don't blame you. You must be knackered. All right, I'll say goodbye then, shall I? And
we
yes.
have a couple of things that Sarah and I would like to just sort out with you. I don't feel capable of going through them now, but for our agenda, we need to know where we are regarding regional social media, and whether we should launch Sarah's new website with a view to it then being inheritable by NHS South East by your programme at the end of the Simnet project. So that's just a couple of things we need your opinion and okay on for you to think about, really.
Yeah, that's very okay by me. I just want to manage relationships, not relationship, you know, just allay any fears from other local offices. Do you know what I'm talking about? But you absolutely have to go ahead for me, and I, you know, with absolute gratitude that you've done this work, Sarah and everybody. Thank you.
Okay, well, we won't press any buttons until we've come to you for
or we could just clear it at the ops group on Friday, something like that. Or or when we have our chat at ASPE, perhaps after that we'll do it.
Yeah,
because then we'll all be together in person and it will all have a good vibe.
Yeah, okay, great, good.
Cool.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Rosie.
Thank you, everybody. See you later. Bye.
Bye.